Once a cop, let it knock, yeah. For one thing, we should celebrate redemption instead of condemning it. Corey Pegues, what up? Talk your truth, bruh. Check it out. Once a cop.
Pull up a seat. You're now in Corey's Corner, where right conversations matter. I'm your host, Corey Pegues, and I always keep it right, not real. Before we start this segment, I want to thank everybody who donated to Corey's Corner Cares in conjunction with Corrupt Mob MC, feeding numerous families for the holiday. Thank you so much. Your support is appreciated. See you next year. Give more. Today on Corey's Corner, we're honored to welcome a true trailblazer in education, Dr. Crystal Bonds. Dr. Bonds is a retired superintendent, award-winning principal, and nationally recognized educational leader with more than 25 years of transformational impact across New York City's public school system. As superintendent of District 29, she led 36 schools, 17,000 students, and 2,000 educators, driving major gains in literacy and math, expanding adult education, launching the city's first district-wide Student Civics Day at the state capitol, and elevating STEM access with a unified literacy curriculum across all schools. Before that, she served as principal of the high school for math, science, and engineering, leading it to become the #1 public school in both New York City and New York State, with national rankings by U.S. News and World Report. Her leadership has brought in more than $1.6 million in grants to advance equity, STEM innovation, and college-to-career pipelines. She is also the founder and president of Changing Norms, a nonprofit recognized by President Obama's My Brother's Keeper initiative and recently honored with the STEM.org Accredited Educational Experience Trust Mark, placing it amongst the top 5% of STEM organizations nationwide. Dr. Bonds is a visionary committed to equity, and today we get to hear her story. Thank you so much, Dr. Bonds, for coming on Corey's Corner.
It's a pleasure.
Well, I must admit, I wanted Dr. Bonds before David Banks, but she's so busy, she's such a big deal that I had to bring the chancellor. So you've been one-upped. But so we're going to see how this interview go, because David Banks, who was your boss,
Exactly.
did an awesome job. Mm-hmm. So before we jump into the next segment, a word from our sponsor. This episode of Corey's Corner is proudly sponsored by Vodka, that smooth fusion of vodka and tequila that's taking the city by storm. Vodka, sip different. Much respect to Corrupt Mob MC, one of the strongest motorcycle clubs out here representing brotherhood, community, and real loyalty. We appreciate the support and salute the entire Corrupt Mob MC family. Respect the mob. Let's go.
Let's go.
Let's start at the beginning. Let's talk about your family dynamic growing up. You know, mother, father, siblings. How was it growing up? You from South Jamaica, Queens.
South side, we outside.
South side, we outside. We heard that from Kevin Williams. I gotta stop bringing all these South side people on this show. Okay. Let's talk about your family dynamics growing up. How was it?
The youngest of 7. Grew up in South Jamaica, Queens. Mom and dad married for 60 years. Same household. Yeah, 7 siblings, and it was a true. How could I describe it? It was lots of love. Mm-hmm. It was lots of fun. It was lots of challenges. It's where, it was where I, the neighborhood that raised me, but it also brought some of my heaviest challenges.
Mm-hmm.
Southside has a lot.
Has a lot, but it's changed.
A lot. It's changed a lot, and I still live in the neighborhood. I could have gone anywhere, but I chose to stay. I chose to stay in a space that helped raise me. Like I said, I had the largest growth, but a lot of challenges as well.
Yeah. Fun fact about Dr. Crystal Bonds, She still lives in the house that she grew up in. Actually purchased the house from your parents many years ago.
Many years ago.
And they probably bought that house for like $40,000. We ain't gonna talk about how much that house is worth right now.
No, they bought it for 19,000.
19,000. Oh my God. Well, Southside, we outside has changed tremendously.
And I'm still there because I still believe in the community, and I still believe in my neighbors, and I still believe in what's to come.
Yeah.
I do.
Well, I also have to tell you, she actually fixed the house up a lot.
Oh, yeah.
since the 19,000.
Since the late 1900s, yes.
Yes. Well, Crystal, it's amazing to sit here with someone who I went to high school with. Mm-hmm. And we one of our audience members here, Super Mario, we all went to Andrew Jackson High School together.
That's right.
And when you look back at those days, what aspect of your high school experience do you think shaped the leader you eventually became?
Andrew Jackson, I know it had its challenges, and at the time when we were there, it was probably ranked one of the most dangerous schools.
No, it was ranked one of the most dangerous schools.
Right,
I don't know if Super Mario had something to do with that, but it definitely was ranked one of the most dangerous schools.
it was ranked one of the most dangerous schools. But we had culture there. Yes. And we had community there. Mm-hmm. And that's why so many of us are still in contact with each other, because we did have culture and we did have community. And people who believed in us. Because there were so many things that you could have gone and, in the streets, you could have stayed in the school, you could have done anything, but so much happened, especially in the 1980s. Mm-hmm. The 1980s was difficult.
Yes.
And then, as you know, once the crack era hit, it didn't just decimate our community, it decimated my own family. Mm-hmm. And so, 3 out of my 4 brothers struggled mm-hmm. with crime and drugs. And so I remember that in the 1980s. But Andrew Jackson also brought a sense of community. Mm-hmm. I loved being there. I learned a lot. My lifelong friends, I still have my friends today.
Yes.
from that experience. And even Dr. Rich, who was our principal.
Yes.
She came back to homecoming not too long ago.
Uh-huh.
I remember Barbara Clark, who was the PTA president.
Yes.
We were there, and then she became assemblywoman. I mean, it was just a true community. And it was kind of a dichotomy, because there was a lot of challenges and a lot of challenges, crime
mm-hmm.
and other.
Yes.
But there was also a lot of family
mm-hmm.
and community. And we're still a community now. So I have some highlights that were some of my favorite years in high school, actually. Yeah.
Another fun fact about Dr. Crystal Barnes, she was Miss Jackson junior year and senior year, right?
I was Miss Junior and then Miss Andrew Jackson. Yes.
Miss Junior. You and Kelvin was the seniors, right?
Yes.
This picture, I'm about to put this picture up with you and Kelvin. Yes. Miss Jackson and Mr. Jackson. I love it.
Yes.
I actually just went to the homecoming this year.
Oh.
And me and Kelvin was there. And I actually took a picture in the hallway. Let me see if you remember this picture. I'm going to post this picture up right now. And you tell me where we are when you see this picture.
Probably on the first floor, in the lobby, where everybody used to hang out before they went to lunch.
Yes!
I didn't have
my
to see it.
God.
That was the meetup in between classes.
Did you know even back then that education and leadership would be your path? Or was there a particular moment or a mentor who shifted your direction?
Absolutely not. I did not want to go into education. Even after college, my father said, you should go into teaching. And I said, I don't want to go into teaching. I want to be a businesswoman. I went to school for marketing and sales, and I stayed there about 7 years. And
what schools you went to?
I went to SUNY New Paltz, upstate.
Mm-hmm.
We didn't have much money. They had a circle, and they said, this is where we live. You have this radius to go to school, and there's going to be a state university. Mm-hmm. And so, choose one. And so I went to SUNY New Paltz, and after college, my dad said, you should be a teacher. And I said, nope, I want to be a businesswoman. I'm going to marketing and sales.
Right.
And I stayed in marketing and sales for about 7 years before I leaned into what was my life's calling, and that's education, teaching and leading. And I didn't know that. But then once I said, this is something that I think I'd like to try. And I did. And after that, I never went back to sales and marketing.
What was one thing about your high school journey that people today might be surprised to learn, and how did it influence who you are now?
Surprised to learn about my journey, or surprised to learn
In high
about just
school.
me in high school?
Other than you coming to school every day dressed like you was going to Wall Street, when we always wearing feedlot suits and baggy jeans, and Crystal was dressed like a grown ass woman, and I used to be like, "Damn, where you going?" She was way ahead of her game.
You know, my father was a pastor. I was involved in the church, and I just was always, you know, I had my nice little dresses on, and
Yes.
my white shirts with the collar,
The little
and
heels. Yes, you was dressed.
right, right.
Right, Sue?
So you actually going to continue to bring that up though every time I see you about how I used to dress? So you're
Every
gonna keep doing
time.
that?
I can't, because you was just so grown at a young age. But I'm proud of you, and I'm so happy for your success. You manifested what you was going to. Look at you. You still the flyest in the room. You the flyest in the room. Isn't that a song? Yeah, I sing on Corey's Corner too.
I can't.
You gotta know that. Okay. Look. We both come a long way since those hallways that we shared.
Correct.
All right. When you think about your younger self in school, elementary, high school, what advice would you give to her right now, knowing everything you accomplished? What would you give the advice to little Crystal Brown at the time?
Take more risks. Take more risks. And Stephen Covey has this book called oh gosh, I can't, it's escaping me right now, but it's about having your own personal board of directors, someone who's your cheerleader, your elder, wise elder, and your, you know, a coach. And I wish I would have started that earlier, to lean into people who could pour into me.
Right.
I have some of my biggest regrets are about finances and financial literacy.
I think that's everybody's.
Oh my gosh. When we were in high school, do you remember, like, it was like right after high school, was around college. And I remember the Daily News had this article about getting brownstones in Harlem for $1.
Yeah.
And nobody wanted them because nobody wanted to go
Right.
to Harlem.
Yes.
Right? And then
They was all dilapidated. That's why I used to buy my drugs from Harlem.
Right.
They was all dilapidated.
And so no one wanted to buy it, and we didn't have the wherewithal to say, oh, get it and hold it. Then I knew people who did get it, and then they had tax abatements. So they paid such a minuscule, just like a modicum of a piece of money for these properties.
And now they all worth $2, $3, $4 million.
What? So I have a lot of regrets. So what I would tell my younger self: take more risks. Be more financially literate, and that's my biggest. I think the financial literacy was something that I still regret till today.
You spent more than 2 decades transforming schools across New York City. What core values have guided your leadership from principal to superintendent?
Having a clear vision. Having a clear vision on what it is that you intended to do, and having also coherent structures and systems, building systems that are sustainable, and also just believing in people. Believing in people, having the audacity of hope in people, but also accountability for that, hold them accountable, but with humanity, because we have to be kind as well. But yeah, so having a vision and just believing beyond what's in front of you, and believing in people,
Right.
and having hope, and having coherent systems and structures that are sustainable. Because it's like, I don't just lead; I build systems that are to stay and to remain. So those come with coherent systems and putting them in place.
A very good leader would do what you did. When I'm not there, the system that I put in place is still work.
Correct. It's about not just it's about impact.
Right.
But also when you're not there, how does it still stay?
Exactly.
The sustainability, how does it remain? And yes, and so what's the legacy that still continues even when you're not there? Because some role, it's not only about just the impact is not about just the person.
Right.
About it's not about just about the role. It's about the impact that you make on that.
Exactly.
Right. And the sustainability.
So when you took over the role of District 29, first, let me back up. We went to school in District 29.
Correct.
this is like phenomenal
It's just a
for
whole
you
full circle.
to be in public school in District 29 and then many years later become the superintendent. This is not the question, but how did it feel when the chancellor of New York City calls you or one of his executives and say, Dr. Bonds, we're making you the superintendent of District 29. Now, pause. I know that you had to go do interviews to get that position.
The Hunger Games, we called it.
The Hunger Games. I know a couple of people close to me went for interviews for that position. And I was like, I don't know if you're going to get that position because Crystal Bonds is going for that position. And she's a beast. How did it feel when you got that phone call?
So surreal. Just so surreal. I started, as a matter of fact, I went to school in 29.
Right.
My son, I raised my children, went to district school in 29.
Right.
My first teaching job was in District 29. So I taught in District 29 as a K-8 teacher. And then I became an assistant principal. I was a teacher in 29. Then I became a math coach in 29. And then I became an assistant principal at Brooklyn Tech. I went to high school. So as my kids grew, I kind of like grew and changed, levels with them.
Right.
So then I became an assistant principal at Brooklyn Tech. And then I became the principal of the high school for math, science, and engineering. And then after going to high school, I came back to K-8 as a superintendent where I started. So
Right.
it was a whole full circle. I live in a community. I work in the community. I go to church in the community.
Right.
Worship in the community. It was so surreal, and I loved it, and I believed in the district so much. So it was great.
What was your immediate vision and what steps did you take to begin shifting the culture?
Well, what I knew was that 29 encompasses.
Tell the people
about,
what it encompasses. Which areas is 29?
29 is Jamaica, Queens. So it's Jamaica, Hollis, Rosedale, Queens Village, St. Albans,
Addersley?
that area. Yeah, that's Laurelton, and I think I said
Cambria
Rosedale,
Heights.
Cambria Heights, and a part of Glen Oaks and Cambria Heights.
A little bit of Glen Oaks.
Yeah, we have one
Okay.
school in Glen Oaks. And what I knew was that Cambria Heights was ranked at one point the 5th wealthiest black community in the country.
Mm-hmm.
But people complained,
Middle class.
middle class,
Okay.
but the 5th wealthiest black community, middle class in the country.
Okay.
And as a totality, yeah, in the
Yes.
black community, and but people weren't sending their students to the school, and it was like a lot of people who lived in Cambria Heights sent their kids to private school,
Private school.
and I always wondered why. And we, when you look at the
That's a crazy dichotomy. 5th richest for black people, but they're not sending their kids to the public school. Wow.
No. And there were things that I had noticed, like with special education. We had over 100 students who were leaving the community, the district, because we didn't have enough special education services in the community. There were things that I just noticed because my decisions is like data driven. Let me look at the data. Let me just double down and see where are the gaps. What are we noticing and what are we seeing that has a concern, and then build a dream team, because you're as good as your team. And you build that dream team who can help you execute. So it's about having a vision and then coherence and then execution. And then measuring impact. So when I saw some of these things, one, I just wanted to be back there because it was just a place that I love.
And it was
right?
10 minutes from your house.
Period. Period. Because the math, science, and engineering was in Harlem, and so it was a heavier commute. But I did it for 11 years and
Right.
didn't have any regrets. But when you see, so what I did was I created programs, let's say for special education.
Right.
We had so when students are on the autism spectrum disorder, there's like NEST for high achieving students on the spectrum, and then you have Horizon, which is for students who can transition out of special ed, and then you have AIMS, who are students who are nonverbal and have many more challenges. I created the first NEST program in in District 29, and the first AIMS program in Queens. Actually, it was probably second in the city.
Right.
When it came to students wanting to, we also created more special education programs, having town halls in person, hearing from the community. What is it that you want to see? What is it that why are you taking, like when students and parents were leaving, why are you leaving? What's happening? And some people did talk about the rigor, that they wanted higher rigor and, higher test scores. Test scores. While there at District 29, we did, when I first started, even math was 29%. Only 29% of the students were on grade level.
Right.
When I left, it was at 53%. So, and with literacy, we were at 42% when I started. And when I left, I think it was at 51%. So we had double-digit increases in both literacy and math. So looking at the rigor, and also how we improved with the school was to, when you align with the educators and you align with the adults with professional learning before you accelerate the kids. So we had a cohesive, a uniform literacy program where everyone, instead of everyone doing everything differently, we all did the same literacy program. David Banks, Chancellor at the time, had launched NYC Reads, and so you had the option to opt in to having a coherent or literacy program.
Yeah, he
and
talked about that on this program.
Correct, and I did, and we made gains, because when you do professional learning, when you are aligning with the adults, you now can do it cohesively.
Right.
And so it really helped. In the team, we did, would go and visit the schools, and so there were just a lot of systems and structures that were put in place. And I talked about building systems and things that are sustainable that are still going on there even as I left. But coming back, it was important to have high expectations of excellence.
Yes.
And build a culture of that. Because if you build a culture that people have expectations about, that's what we want, then they'll rise to the occasion.
Right.
So building a culture of excellence, exposing our young people to so much, and listening to their voices, including parents in decision making, listening to our teachers, listening to our school leaders. And the school leaders, we had a breadth of so many experiences, and then the team. It's, again, I started with believing in people and building teams, and that's what I did in both cases.
Listen, 36 schools, over 17,000 students, you was like a CEO of a Fortune 500 company, because most Fortune 500 companies don't even have that many employees or buildings around the country. What was the biggest challenge of leading at that scale, and what was the biggest reward? Obviously, the test scores going up was a big reward, and in your profession, that's the home run.
Yeah, impact, and the impact of what you do, not just you have to put these things in place, but did it work? And how do you know it worked, right?
Right.
So, there's a book that I read, I think it's by William Goldsmith, and it's called What Got You Here Won't Get You There. So all of the things that I've learned, each step that you go, you learn something new. And there's just so many things that are just unknown. You just don't even know what you don't know until you get there. But that book helped me to understand, even, no matter what skills you've done. In 2022, when I brought math, science, and engineering to the #1 school in New York City, New York State, it didn't matter once I became a superintendent.
Right.
I had
it's
some
like,
of those.
what could you do right now?
You start on ground zero. So
right.
you bring some of the skills, but it's, some people say, new levels, new devils. Some people say the higher you go, the more challenges. The funniest one I heard recently was the higher the monkey climb, the more his ass is out. Because you keep going up, you're going to get darts, right? You're going to get darts shot at you. And, of course, public scrutiny. But the challenges were vast. The challenges were vast. With 17,000 families every day, there were challenges.
Oh, yeah.
You know, from, you know, whether it was at the student level, the staff level, the parents levels. But what I took pride in is that we overcame so many of them.
So basically, you ducking minefields all day with that many employees, or the employees would be, I'm talking about the student body, because every parent ain't going to be happy. Of course, all the staff ain't gonna be happy.
No.
But you was well equipped to do the job, and I congratulate you for being successful, because I only hear good things. Now, STEM education has been a major part of your work. What do you believe is the biggest barrier to equitable STEM access, and how do we overcome it?
Well, I would say that's something that I can attribute to why I even started changing norms. And my main question was, what happens when brilliance meets access? Or what happens when brilliance meets that bridge? And so what we do with changing norms is we build a bridge so that the brilliance can have the access. And I think that, let me just back up. I remember when my daughter was in elementary school. And she went to Cambridge Center, and then when they stopped in the fifth grade back in 30 years ago or so, and so when I went to look for schools, I went around to different schools, and I went to District 26, 27, 28, and when I went to District 26, I saw that students were growing their own fruit and vegetables organically. They were writing checks in the GO store. It wasn't and then when they went to middle school, it wasn't, did you get into a specialized high school? It was, which one did you get in?
Right.
Because it wasn't always academic intervention. It was academic acceleration.
Right.
And then it was so much access. But the parents who were there contributed their time, their access, and they gave, they had more access. They had some access differently, but they gave their time and their access to the school. And the PTAs were raising a tremendous amount of money to support these efforts. And that didn't have anything to do with STEM, but I'm just talking about coming up through the schools. I saw what was different. So when I, even with my children, when I think the biggest thing is access. Some people, young people, don't even know what they don't know. But if you give them access to explore, they just shine.
Right.
I've seen so much in my school when I was a principal, when I was a superintendent. And I'm telling you, I think I met the next president of these United States in District 29. These young people they are amazing. But I think one of the biggest things to STEM is access. There are statistics that show if you have a parent in STEM or research, you're twice as likely to go into that field. But if you don't, how do you get access? So if you don't know you want it to be, if you don't even know what a physicist does, then how would you even know that that's what you want to do? So I think the biggest concern is access. And so I had started building a STEAM Innovation Center in District 29 with aeronautics, where the classrooms would have flight simulators, and then it was almost like a K to college, because it's in the elementary school, and then the students would go to the middle school, and then the high school, and then up to Vaughn College. So it was like a K to college, but having support from JetBlue and so many different companies to assist with that. There's we had hydroponics and other, but it was about putting this in front of the kids, exposing them to it, and normalizing it, not making it external, where they'd have to go only on a Saturday or something like that. When you normalize things and you put things in front of these young people, they will eat it up. So access, normalizing it, making it often, and I think that those are the things that we were trying to do more of. But yeah, I think that's what.
Well, let's listen. Let's call a spade a spade. You brought up your kids. So for our viewers and our listeners, let's talk about your two children. Phenomenal. Genesis and little Al. let's talk about them. And we're going to fast forward because you talk about how parents are involved in what they're doing. So I'm just going to look at my camera and tell them. So her daughter Genesis graduated a few years ago from Duke University, the Duke University, with a degree in computer science. And she was recruited right out of college to Facebook, making a tremendous amount of money. Her son, little Al, graduated from George Washington University with a degree in civil engineering and was recruited by Turner Company, which is the biggest construction company in New York City. So what they did, it was not happenstance. You had, and your husband, Big Al, had a tremendous amount of say in how they grew up. Because I don't want the audience to just think like you was the superintendent, you was helping all these kids. No, you put this to work as a parent. So let's talk about what you did to get them where they are.
I know I'm always into statistics, as you know. I read that the brain forms its ways of learning before the age of 5. Knowing that, I made sure every day I read to them. Every day, even when we came home from school, we did something. We spent time in their tactile and doing different things. Taught them to read at 3. Graduated early at 16. But throughout, when we went on vacations, we still went to rainforests and just did things with them. When they would read books, I would read books with them. I never forget, I went to an interview and they were like, "What's the last book you read?" I said, "Bud Not Buddy," a 5th grade novel, because I'm reading the books with the kids so that I know how to help them with through their answers.
Right.
But we had lots of conversations every day when we sat down to have dinner. The New York Times, when it was a paper, everyone got a different section. You get the sports, you're getting the world news,
Right.
and after we would scaffold, and at the end, what did you learn? So everyone wouldn't have to read it. But I made everything a learning experience, and I made it also for my friends. Because what happens is when I talk about normalizing something, I use my children as a litmus test.
Right.
I promise you, if you put things in front of them and you normalize something, it will become who they are. So when we would go away, everyone was doing SAT words. Everyone was doing, the butterfly, the caterpillar to the butterfly in my house. This is what we did, and everyone, it was just normal. They went to math camps. When they went to high school, they said, "Well, what?" They said some of their friends said, "What did you do for the summer?" They said, "I went to a math camp. I went to the CIA camp. What did you do?"
Right.
They were like, "Wait, everybody doesn't do this?" Because I did the Jedi mind trick. I tricked them into it, right? But it was more like this was things that I liked and what we wanted to do.
Right.
So when they went to college, we looked at some statistics, and I said it was 2008. I said in 2020. This is what it's going to look like, the job market. You will have a job in STEM because they will outpace non-STEM jobs at least 20%, 17% at that time. And they were so good in math, there was no big deal. So they chose their careers, and then that was it. And so, we just were very supportive of what they wanted to do.
Right.
And I would tell a story about AJ, tell us a funny story. So when AJ was getting ready to go to college, he was just like, "Oh, I don't want to go to school for engineering." I said, "Really? What you want to do?" He says, "I want to be a rapper." I said, "Okay.
Yes.
Cool. You can be a rapper. I'm not trying to knock your hustle."
He actually could rap. I've heard him.
He is very good, actually.
Yes.
And I said, no problem. I'm not going to knock your hustle. I said, but you got 2 weeks to decide. Because if you're going to do rapping, this is where you're going to go. If you're going to do your engineering, this is where you're going to go. Right. But I will never be the person who said you didn't, do what you wanted to pursue.
Right.
So he said, so he came back 2 weeks later. He was like, I think I'm going to go to school for engineering. I said, okay. But you know something? He is so good at what he does.
Right.
Built a studio. So he still gets to enjoy his music. He's AJ Peebles. Check him out on Spotify and everything else. But also, I was big on vocabulary words. So if you learned a new word every Friday you brought it to the dinner table, and so you know, what word did you learn? And then he and Al would do this like freestyle. So since they were young, so now
That's
you can give
why he's
AJ
good
a
with
word with
rapping.
anything. Their vocabulary is so extensive.
Right.
So there's lots of small things that I did along the way, you know, just because I just loved learning.
Yes.
And I wanted them to have the love of learning. I love math. I wanted
Right.
them to have the love of math.
Uh-huh.
And you model every single day for your children. They're watching you, whether you say it, even the implicit, the nonverbal. Your children
Right.
watch you every day. So reading and doing things with them, it was just my joy. I just wish I had more kids. I wish I had a whole lot of kids.
Well, listen,
do.
I'm so glad you had the opportunity to talk about your kids. I'm hoping that the parents that's out here are taking notes. She's dropping some gems, some jewels, and you know, on Corey's Corner, we always bringing on guests that's gonna give you something. That's why our motto is "Right Conversations Matter." So,
I have one
Dr.
more
Barnes,
thing to say about the kids.
One more?
Also, when they're in college, you have to, although they're older, you still got to be right there. Because kids need you when they're young, but they also need you when they're older because they start making decisions or poor choices.
Yeah,
So-
Little Body is a singer this year. Oh. Yeah.
Right. So the older they get, you still have to be right there and get to know their friends, because that will tell you a lot.
Mm-hmm.
That one, oh no, that one can't come over anymore. No.
Yes, indeed. I love it. Like I said, she's dropping some jewels on it. So, Dr. Barnes, we have a segment on here called Spitfire Round. Where I ask you 10 rapid fire questions, and I know you're analytical, you're a thought person, but put your brain to the side. Rapid fire, one word answers,
One word?
or yes or no. It's a fun game. It's fun.
Okay.
You ready?
Kinda.
Okay. What's one word that best describes your leadership style?
Distributive leadership.
What book has had the biggest impact on your life or career?
What got you here won't get you there. The one I shared.
What's one thing every student should experience before graduating?
High school, college, before graduating. I think site visits, like job, they should be able to, like a workforce development kind of thing. They should be able to visit careers. I think that's what they should experience.
Like OJT.
Correct.
Okay. Your go-to motivational quote when things get tough.
The serenity prayer.
Okay.
Know what's in your circle of control, and know what's not. Make sure you know the difference.
Okay. What's the most important skill future educators need?
Future educators,
Yes.
they need to be tech savvy and AI literate.
That's exactly what I expected you to say. Favorite place to recharge after a long week? And don't say the bar, because people are looking.
The recharge in my home,
Wherever.
it is in my hot tub. That is
Inside or outside hot tub?
either,
Okay.
yeah. But to do that, that's just to me a place, it's just a serene place where you just have music, candles, and nothing. Sometimes you just to recharge, be silent, and that's it.
STEM, literacy, or civics? What's your personal passion area?
STEM.
STEM. I knew you was going to say that. What advice would you give a first-year principal on day one?
You have two eyes. This is a, I think it's Confucius. You have two eyes and you have two ears. You have one mouth. Watch and listen twice as much as you speak.
Okay. You hear that, future principals. If you could wave a magic wand and change one thing in education tomorrow,
Lord have mercy.
what
You
would
talk
it be?
about one thing?
One thing.
It's too many.
This Corey's Corner. You gotta answer the question. Only one. You only get one choice. What would you change tomorrow if they said, Dr. Barnes, you get to change one thing in education?
I know it sounds cliche-ish, and I know everyone always says it, but it's real. One of the problems in the education system is the disparity between the have and have-nots, the equity in education and access, the lack of access in education.
Great. Last question. You kind of answered this earlier, but I'm going to ask you. Let's see what you say. Mm-hmm. Impact or legacy?
I said it earlier that you need both. Your legacy is the impact that you make.
You only get one on this question. Impact or legacy?
Legacy, because if you had impact, then your legacy will last.
Okay, thank you for participating in Corey's Corner. That was good. That was good. Before we jump back in, I want to take a second to talk about my book, Once a Cop to Street the Law, Two Worlds, One Man. You know, it's a memoir detailing my life as a young, misguided kid rising to the rank of deputy inspector in the biggest police department in the country. The book actually was turned into a feature documentary. You can look at it on Hulu or Apple TV. You should be able to get something out of that. And for the people that purchased it or watched it, thank you. And for the future people that's going to watch it, thank you. Hit me up on Corey's Corner at gmail.com and let me know your thoughts. And I appreciate all the people that's been hitting me up from previous segments. Thank you. Now, word from our sponsors.
This is not your average vodka. This is Vodkila, a decade of cultured excellence. The best of both worlds, the true taste of victory. A delicious dyad spirit, the world's finest blend of vodka and tequila. Vodkila, the perfect blend. From rooftop parties to quiet moments with friends, Vodkila brings the flavor, the fire, and the unforgettable. So pour it, share it, live it. Vodkila. Visit vodkila.net and order yours today.
You launched the first district-wide Student Civic Day at the New York State Capitol. What inspired this initiative and what impact did it have on students? And what's not in here is tell us what the Civic Day is.
Sure. When another initiative that Chancellor Banks had was he wanted all schools to have student government. So I'm going to took that on and make sure every one of our schools had a student government. And it was fantastic. And I started meeting with the young people. I had this segment called Bonding with Bonds. So monthly.
Nice. I like the cliche.
Yeah, Bonding with Bonds. So monthly we would meet and talk student government, and we would talk and chat about some of the things that they wanted to see. And we did SDG goals, Sustainable Developmental Goals, aligned with the United Nations, because that's what all the nations do, about things that they wanted to see change in their community, in their school community. And then now, District 29 had it in different pockets, but not as a whole district where
Right.
every school went.
Mm-hmm.
But Assemblywoman Alicia Hyman sponsored and said she'd like to bring the kids, talked about our student government, and said she'd like to bring all of the kids to sponsor a day at the Capitol, Civics Day.
Mm-hmm.
And she initiated it, and sponsored with, of course, Senator Leroy Comrie, and actually every Southeast Queens elected official was involved. The elected officials have been tremendous. I mean, helping to realize so many dreams. So we go to Albany every year, and we make sure before we go that the young people had to know who were their elected officials
Right.
for their school community, from the councilwoman or man, the assembly, the senator, and Congress, and they had to learn about them and we gave them their pictures, and they had to have questions prepared. So when we get to the state capitol, they went to the assembly side and the Senate side. They learned how laws and bills and resolutions were made, and they got a chance to speak to elected officials about the things that they wanted. And even starting in the 3rd grade, that's why I said, I know I met the president of these United States. In District 29, they came so prepared. They loved it, and they get a chance to, take photos with people. But they learned a lot about about that
Government.
and about government. And what I really liked about it was that the students understood that they mattered, that they were heard, and they felt a part of the culture, a part of the community, and not like test takers. They weren't just test takers or a number. They felt a part of the community. And through bonding with bonds and visiting schools and the team always being in schools, people knew who we were. The young people understood who we were, and it was great. It was fantastic, and I thank you to Assemblywoman Hyman and Senator Comrie and Assemblyman. I can name everyone in the district. Thank you. Thank our councilwomen, senators. It's everyone, and Congressman Meeks, like all of them. They were just so supportive in my role as superintendent, and I want to say thank you.
I love it. Now, adult education expanded tremendously during your tenure. How does strengthening adults in a community directly influence students' success?
We opened 6 adult education for GED and English language learners.
So this was nighttime learning?
This was in the evening. Yeah, we
Nice.
opened up six adult education centers, not centers, like courses and classes in the district. And it's like when you help the parents and the children, whether it's with education or financial literacy, you're helping the whole community.
Right.
And these are some of the things that the parents wanted to see, and it helped, especially the parents with the English language learners.
Exactly.
It was amazing. And they said, they were very thankful. We wish we could have done more. And I'm sure all of these things that are sustainable, that I talk about, not just building, not just leading, but building sustainable practices.
Right.
These are things that make sense for our community.
Right.
And it builds this person, the community, the nation, the world.
Well, let's just hope that District 29 is continuing all of these good programs that you started. Now, how do you approach building trust and collaboration among parents, teachers, school leaders in such a large, diverse district?
People want to be heard. And then you have to act on some things. You have to execute some things. And when you execute, you have to execute with precision because people want to see results. They don't want to just have talk.
She
talk,
should
talk,
be
talk,
this.
talk.
Hold on, Mandami, are you listening? Are you listening to this woman? Did the Mandami team, who's gonna be the new mayor in New York City, did they approach you for the transition team on education?
No.
Because I didn't see your name.
No,
I saw a bunch of people names on there. I don't even know if they're in education, but Mayor Mandami, if you listening to me right now, you need to get next to Dr. Crystal Barnes. She's a leader who probably should be your chancellor. Not knocking Melissa that's there right now.
I'd like to respectfully say I'd like to be on a transition team. Thank you very much, but not chancellor.
Not chancellor.
But
chancellor gonna lead you to $1 million job. What are you talking about?
What you say?
Once you're the chancellor of New York City,
you'll never be without a job ever.
Exactly. You're gonna be on paid boards, and you just sit back and sip martinis all day. Now let's talk about high school for science, math, and engineering. You led the school to become the #1 public high school in New York City and New York State. What cultural or instructional shifts made that possible?
I would say definitely the culture. Everyone understood the high level of expectation and excellence that was expected, period. So I say there was definitely the culture of that. People, when the students came, they understood that. We have open houses. Parents understood it, the expectations of being involved in attending school and trying your best and showing up. So it was the culture. There was also coherence and consistency. Young people need consistency. Adults need consistency. But I was very consistent with my intentionality of things that we did, consistent with pushing students, pushing and stretching adults, consistent with the always finding a better way, consistent with finding resources, and courage, because you again will face things that you don't know until you get there. You don't know what you don't know, but it's going to take courage to break through ceilings. It's going to take courage to do something different to get different results. If you do the same thing you've always done, you're going to get the same thing you've always gotten. What school leaders go through, people don't have any idea, because you are the local parentis, you're the parent, you are the social worker, you are the friend, you have such a responsibility, and people entrust their children to you every single day, and you're responsible for making sure that they are well and that they come home to their families. So it's a big job, and it's there are many challenges, things that
It's not all peaches and cream.
No.
So you secured over $1.6 million in grants, and that's extraordinary. What advice do you have for school leaders trying to attract significant funding for innovation?
There are many things that we did to make sure we bring money in. I think that one of the things that I learned was the elected officials have funding for, and it's like, it's called discretionary budgeting and things like that. Lean into them to get some of the funding that you need. Also have someone on your staff. If it's not, because once you build capacity in your staff, sometimes they want to see the school leader, but there are many government agencies or companies who are looking and seeking partnerships with schools, but they can't find them.
Right.
So
you need a good grant writer on your staff.
You need a good grant writer, but you also need someone to seek out partnerships, like a strategic planning person, a person who's going to, do strategic partnerships, because there are people that are looking. And that was just now. I've secured much more money than that.
Right.
But that was just for the innovation lab. So it's about being out. Remember, I was in sales and marketing for 7 years prior to going to education. So sales and,
so you
and
know how to
bringing
get
in
to
money.
the bag. Secure the bag.
I also wanted to just go back to the school being ranked highly in U.S. News and World Report in 2022.
Yes.
What it also takes is data-driven instruction. I shared it earlier, but you have to look at the data to see what's going on and then make some informed decisions. That's when I even talked about courage. When I first came to math, science, and engineering, we had great scores. But I noticed that algebra or trig, we only had an average of like 70, and I couldn't figure it out, because I said, I know these kids have the intellectual prowess. What's going on?
Right.
So when I looked for trig, algebra trig, I noticed that because the pathway is algebra, then geometry, and then algebra 2 trig, trigonometry. So most schools, the state says you only have to have 3 years of math. We gave 5 years. Everyone went to pre-calc or calculus.
Right.
So every freshman got algebra and geometry. So I'm noticing when they get to trig, why are these scores so low? And I noticed that given and assessments you got to still do too. When I looked at the assessments, I noticed that a lot of young people may have passed the algebra regions, but with like a 65 or like a 70. And then they went straight to trigonometry when they came to maths, to HSMSE. But I think a lot of them were being taught to take the test, not understanding all of the foundational skills. I created a class. I had met with the math team who created the class called Foundations for Higher Math. And instead of taking another algebra class, we gave them that class, which transitioned them from the algebra to trig. In 1 year, the scores went from 74 average to 92.
Wow.
It's like, because they just needed the foundation. But when you can look at data and find a root cause for something, it is, and then you have people who believe in your leadership and your vision. And like, I may say, I want to go to that mountain, but I may not know how to get there, but you have the people, and you build the people to take you there. It's about, and I also learned that you have to have good leadership, but you also have to have good followership. So I follow and I with my leaders. And so
Right.
you have to get your people to do that. And we together, the team, the school, the parents, we killed it. It
I
was
love it.
amazing. It was amazing.
Let's talk about changing norms, which is your baby, your business. It has been recognized by President Obama's My Brother's Keeper initiative. What gap were you trying to fill when you founded the organization?
The one I talked about earlier, what would happen when brilliance meets access? Or when it meets, the brilliance meets the bridge. I remember, and we were in high school, what would have happened if my brothers had someone to say, come intern at fill in the blank, instead of being on the street,
Right.
And I lived with that. So I really dedicated my life to education. You really would believe that I had so many children, and it was to build a bridge and to provide access, and not only to just make sure that we're putting them in front of places, but prepare them for when they get there. When they go, because we have a year-long program where we teach them so many skills. It is financial literacy. It is all the things that I've noticed over the years that some students don't get, or and they don't get it uh, like automatically from their current schools. I built this in this program. Your digital literacy, your digital profile, your tattoo, the things you put out there, your public speaking. Mark is public speaking, your elevator pitch, your
Right.
resume, so many things that we do. And then at the end of the year, we take them to Martha's Vineyard and we put them in front of CEOs. We even went to President Obama's house.
Right.
He heard My Brother's Keeper. We were on the island, and then we get them internships, and they come with us through the junior year, and they stay with us until they get a job. So we support them throughout college
So
until they get a job.
so junior year in high school
Junior
or
year in
college?
high school, they come on with us. We work with them, and then we have a full immersive program. Then while they're in college, we have different events. We invite them to different things. We get them internships.
So how can kids get involved?
They
Give
can
them
go
an email
to
or a website.
www.changingnorms.org. www.changingnorms.org. Right now, we are in the process of, we still do only male, but we are expanding to female as well. Because
Okay.
I couldn't do both. I had a full-time
Right.
job, but this is my passion.
Okay.
But it is something that we do, and these young people say, this has changed my life. Some of them have never been on a boat, on a plane, or didn't know what Martha's Vineyard was, and we know the rich history there, because that's my happy place. But what we do is we engross them in so much STEM when they get there. And we rent a 52-foot liner. They dredge the bottom of the ocean floor, see marine life.
Yeah.
We go to Woods Hole Oceanographic Institute, who helped find the Titanic. So there's a lot of heavy STEM, but we also do networking, and we show them, and we give them mentors, and put them in front of people that look like us, who are chief executive officers, C-suite people. And then when they get in the room, they know how to comport themselves. They know exactly what to say and do, because they work with us for this whole year. So it's a passion of just closing the gaps and providing access. I have the audacity of hope that if we all could do something differently, and we all invest in our children, how different would it be?
Oh, I love it. Make sure flood the website. Let's get all the black and brown kids on it. Okay.
But the program is sustainable, and we're expanding. I mean, we have the year-long program. It is virtual here in the city.
Yes.
But at the end of the summer, we take some of them to the vineyard.
Yes.
But it could be we're trying to expand to go to St. Kitts, because they have a sustainable program, or
Right.
different places. So the concept is scalable and sustainable to go to any place.
I love it. And make sure y'all donate when y'all
Yes.
when y'all go on the website. I'm pretty sure they got a
We
donate
have a
tab
donate
on
now, and we have our annual golf classic, and next year it's going to be June 1st, where we give scholarships, and this expands for more access. The more you give, the more young people we can help. And the people who work with me, my team on Changing Norms, they are tremendous, and everyone just believes in the vision of doing more and helping young people to see beyond what's in front of them, helping them to see something more.
there. I love it. I love it. Now, you just got the STEM.org accredited educational experience trust mark, which placed you in the top 5% nationwide. What does that recognition mean for your mission?
Everything, because it's a it's a STEM program, and
Right.
it's about. I mean, it just makes us. It's a feel good moment. That's number one. But number two, it helps push the envelope. It helps push us to do even more. Like we're expanding through STEM.org. We're expanding to do optional courses where like young people who are closer in their age are going to do STEM courses. Like my daughter, who's a software engineer at Netflix, she's going to do like a STEM for something for entry of computer science. I have someone else doing, and there's my nephew who'll do. He's in cybersecurity. You know, so we're having young people now do like courses that are free that they will be able to join and to learn more. It's about and AI, of course, is taking the world by storm. But then there's quantum computing, which is next. Whatever AI
Yeah.
can do in 3 minutes, quantum could do it in 3 seconds.
Right.
So how are we preparing our young people for 2040? Not just for right now. It's about what's next and how we equipping them with those skills. So those courses now will be able to help our young people get ready.
Damn, I love it. So how do you design programs that not only teach STEM but also build leadership, confidence, and workforce readiness for the young people?
Workforce development is huge. It's about all of the experiences that I've seen as being an assistant principal at Brooklyn Tech. Brooklyn Tech is the largest high school in the country with the most 6,000 students
Yes.
and 600,000 square feet. Being an AP, an assistant principal, first I was the chief financial officer running that huge budget, and then
Right.
I oversaw guidance. You saw so much about what was needed. And I had, took notes of, my own notes about what was needed, what was lacking, and then as a principal, and then as a superintendent. So putting all of these things together, my close to 3 decades of this
Right.
type of work has helped me to say, here are some things that you normally see or that you don't normally see. There's mismatching of kids going to undermatching them within their college process. Or how are we teaching about entrepreneurship? How are we really teaching the young people about money, even investments, but and the love of learning and being, literate and literacy and numeracy and high expectations and showing up, keeping your word. What do you need to do to comport yourself when you're at an internship? We do that as well, about your ways of being.
Right.
But we also do wellness because people are stressed out. These kids are stressed out. The teachers are stressed out. The parents, the school leaders. So we also think about wellness, and we have, I took one of my friends who has a tutoring company, his CBT, community building time. Whether it's virtual or in person, we spend time talking to the young people, unpacking certain things. Being a community, we wrap ourselves around them in their community and as a community. And so you have to have high expectations. You have to have rigorous instruction.
Yes.
You have to have consistency because young people need it. And you have to believing in people and showing that love. We're social beings, but the young people, they need it.
Yes. You're widely known as a visionary committed to equity. What does educational equity look like to you in practice, not just in theory? And we're winding down. Just 1 or 2 more questions.
Sure. Equity doesn't mean equal, as you know. Everyone doesn't get the same thing because this is what everyone should get.
Right.
I think it's according to the need. And I think that, everyone starts off at a different space. And so the need is different depending on, it's almost like you get in where you fit in, but you put in where it's needed.
Right.
So I think equity is, if I'm a student and I need 2 hours of learning, or I need more, whatever it is that I need, and you're giving that to me, it's not that everybody needs 2. Somebody may need 5 hours of support. Somebody may need only 1 hour or none. I think it's about educational equity is about making sure that gaps are filled so that no one is lacking, but that we are supporting the students and meeting them where they're at.
Right.
Meeting them where they're at to support them and help lift them up.
Okay. As you look ahead, what's your mission now?
My mission, well, now in retirement, I am still exploring.
You look too young to be retired.
Right now, it's just peace
Mm-hmm.
and discovery.
Mm-hmm.
And those are the two things for me right now. I am definitely going to expand changing norms.
Yes.
100%. Now I have the capacity and the time, to expand changing norms.
Right.
And I also have a consulting business, making it crystal clear, play on my name, and doing consulting. And so for
Yes.
now, that's it.
Crystal clear. I like it. You
Making
got
it
a lot of
crystal clear.
cliches on your name. I love it.
Yeah.
What change are you most committed to driving in the next chapter of your work?
A lot of the same things. My vision and my commitment to education has been consistent. Lifting others as I'm lifted, and helping young people to believe in their to helping them to find their brilliance. Helping
Right.
young people to find their brilliance. So continuing that through changing norms, through I know I will do other educational initiatives. I love education. When I was a superintendent, I leaned into this saying that the Maasai tribe says. The mighty Maasai tribe, they greet each other. Their traditional greeting is how are the children. No matter the daily struggle, they did not let that preclude them from knowing that their children were their most important entity.
Right.
And even warriors without children would answer, all the children are well. Because they felt that if their children are well, their community is well, their country is well. And so I know that and people thought it was corny, but I really believe in our children, our future. And so I know I'll have other educational missions and things like that, but I just I haven't figured that out yet. So I'm going to stick with changing norms, and I'm going to stick with making it crystal clear, and just be open to what the universe has for me. That's it. I mean, this is just a transition.
Yes.
It's a pivot. It's to something different. My mom would always say, every why has a when. Everything we do in our whys to why we do something has a when, and that's when you're going to transition. This is just another pivot.
Right.
And so what's next? Like I said, it's those two things which are my passion, and taking care of Crystal.
Yeah. I think the sky's the limit for you.
Thank
I
you.
really think. Before we wrap, is there anything you'd like to share that we haven't covered?
Looking forward to what's next in education. I think we need human-centered or student-centered learning. I think we need tech-ready. Right?
Absolutely,
Tech ready and the tech ready and AI literacy, and keeping the human part, like even whether it's holding people accountable with humanity or just having the human element with a focus, mission, and vision. Like, they have to be focus driven schools. Like, what's your focus? What's your mission? Having a mission and a vision that's aligned to excellence.
Right.
Yeah, and just looking like what's next. What's next in education, and staying in the know, staying on top of it, and supporting it in any way I can.
This has been an excellent interview with you. Thank you so much for coming. Let the people know where they can find you.
Sure. Well, I am changingnorms.org. You can find me there. Contact us. You do that. I'm on LinkedIn. Crystal Bonds. Everything is just my name. Crystal Bonds. Crystal Bonds. My email is dr.cbonds@gmail.com. And so you can find me on those platforms. And I would really, really love for you to look at changingnorms.org and see the tremendous work that we do, because we really do change lives. Changing norms really changes lives. and we love to expand it, and we love your support. Whether you can support financially, through your time, through your resources, companies who'd like to sponsor, but take a look at what we do, and because in the next couple of years, it's going to expand and it's going to explode and do very well. We love to partner with you.
I love it. Well, Dr. Barnes, thank you for your sharing your wisdom and your commitment to creating opportunities that last far beyond the classroom. Your leadership reminds us that when you change the norms, you change the outcomes. We appreciate you for joining Corey's Corner. Honestly, you've been like a family member. You're a friend. I love you. I love what you're doing. I absolutely love how you raised your children and your family. I'm going to send my prayers to your now ex-husband. I know he was involved in something.
Yeah, it was a horrific hit-and-run accident on his motorcycle.
And he's recovering. We're praying for his recovery. I know he's doing a lot better than a month ago. So every day is a journey. Mm-hmm. But anytime you want to come on Corey's Corner, it's open for you. Anytime.
And I want to say congratulations to you for this whole podcast and for your book and your launching and all the things that you do. I'm proud of you too. It's like, AJ, we did good.
Thank you. Yes. They said we was most likely to not succeed, Soup. But we may. Look, Super Mario has this great space that he gives us to do Corey's Corner. He's a businessman in the community, owned a few businesses, doing some great things. You Superintendent, I became an executive NYPD, and AJ, we here to stay.
That's right.
For our listeners, if you found value in today's episode, please like, share, subscribe, and support. This has been another episode of Corey's Corner. Until the next time, keep pushing, keep grinding, and always remember, it's not where you start, it's where you finish. I'm Corey Pegues, and I always keep it right, not real. Peace.
Special thanks to our executive producer, our engineers, and much respect to Corrupt Mob for making Corey's Corner possible.
Once a cop, let it knock, yeah. I for one thing we should celebrate redemption instead of condemning it. Corey Pegues, what up? Talk your truth, bruh. Check it out. Once a cop.